Hey, folks, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. What an interesting Sunday it was. Obviously, the news of the sudden death of Senator Lindsey Graham has sent shockwaves throughout the country, as well as the world, quite frankly. We're going to talk about it. We're also awaiting the press conference of Governor Henry McMaster, the governor of South Carolina. There are talks that President Trump, obviously he posted earlier on Truth Social that he thinks it would be a good idea to appoint Senator Lindsey Graham's sister Darlene to serve out the remainder of his term that ends in January. We're going to talk about that. What do you think about it? Also all of the circumstances surrounding his death? And, of course, just like with anything, because the trust in our government is so low, we have conspiracy theories about whether or not Lindsey Graham actually died the way we're being told. I tend to think we are being told the truth at this juncture, but hey, there's still plenty of reasons to be skeptical of the government, so I'm not surprised that people think that he was either poisoned or people claim that he maybe actually died in Ukraine with results of a Russian missile attack. I mean, it's all under the sun, but we do have the 911 call. We do have police scanners that picked up this event when it happened. So we're going to talk about that and much, much more. I have with me in seat number 3, we've got Eric Haynes. And momentarily, I'm told, at 3:09, Rob Spencer will be in seat number 2, but we'll see. He says he's stuck in traffic, but I know he's on his way here, and we'll see him soon. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
All right, folks, welcome to the show. As always, broadcasting live from the great state of Arkansas, broadcasting on LFA TV over on Rumble. Want to make sure that you like and subscribe and share the video out. We would really very much appreciate it. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, the Paul Harrell program, would very much appreciate you subscribe. Click the little bell to receive notifications. And wherever you're watching, do all the things. We really very much appreciate it. Eric Haynes, how you doing, sir? How was your Sunday?
Sunday was great. Great to be part of the conversation. Good to see you, sir.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you're here. Where were you when you found out? I found out from you guys. I actually was not able to go to church yesterday because I hurt my back. I'm only functioning right now, by the way, because of the red light panels, because a couple of doses of those definitely alleviated some things. But I just couldn't get out of bed because I had hurt my back yesterday. So I slept in a little bit. I rolled over. First text message I got was from you, Eric Haynes, saying Lindsey Graham is dead.
Yeah, that was how I woke up Sunday morning as well. Instead of waking up at normal time to start getting everybody ready for church, that was the first thing that popped up on my phone was the passing of Lindsey Graham. I thought it was a typo too. I thought the text message that I got meant to say Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
And it was, and I immediately went to a news feed and was first thing right there, like Lindsey Graham's dead, and I was kind of blown away.
All right, we see right here. I have pulled up the Associated Press feed of the Governor Henry McMaster press conference. It has actually commenced, or at least we now have a feed. It looks like he's about to start speaking.
This is an important day.
This is live
in South Carolina history.
South Carolina.
There'll be other celebrations and events of all kinds. But I and the family thank all of you for coming here today. We meet in sadness over the loss of one of South Carolina's greatest sons.
Is that Lindsey Graham's sister?
And we also gather together to celebrate what this self-described poor boy from a small town, rural town in South Carolina accomplished through grit, determination, and character for his state, for his country, and for his world. Lindsey Graham recognized the greatness of America and her obligations to a dangerous world. Lindsey Graham recognized the seriousness of his work, but also the value of humor and a lighthearted spirit. Lindsey Graham understood the hopes, dreams, and needs of his state and delivered for his state every time. Presidents, paupers, famous or forgotten, he treated us all the same. We have seen him attack evil and injustice and embrace friendship and the common good with equal fervor and strength. Yes, we are going to miss Lindsey, but we will always remember his quickness, his laugh, and what he has done for us and the world. As he described himself, this poor boy from a little town in South Carolina. Today, under the law, it's my duty and honor to name someone to serve in the place of this irresistible man, this irreplaceable man, this extraordinary man for the remainder of his term. Lindsey took care of his little sister in years long departed. It's my honor to ask his little sister, Darlene Graham, to finish his work for him now. And by the way, Darlene, I don't know if I told you, but after we spoke on the phone in the wee hours of Sunday morning, and you agreed to serve through tears, earlier, I had wondered what you would say.
You're right.
And I was humbled by your quickness to see the duty that you had to serve. And I called the president afterwards, and he thought it was a great idea. And I'm sure that everyone here does as well. Darlene, little sister, come forward, please.
Thank you, Governor, and just bear with me as I try to get through this. But first, I just want to say one thing I've never heard Lindsey described as is irresistible. So, okay, we'll just start with that. But first, I would like to thank everyone who has called and reached out over the past couple of days. I can't tell you how much it's meant to me and our family. I know Lindsey was loved and respected by many, and I greatly appreciate the memories and even the funny stories that have been shared. These shared experiences, along with our faith, have gotten us through these past 2 very difficult days. Next, I want to thank the governor for selecting me to serve the remainder of Lindsey's term. It is such an honor. Lindsey has always been there for me, and now I will be there for him. My brother was the most amazing person, outstanding leader, and just a genuinely good man. He was kind and considerate and loved by his family dearly. As I think everyone would agree, Lindsey worked harder than anyone. He worked nonstop to make our state, country, and world better. He loved his family and loved serving this state and our country. He dedicated his life to our country. It is such a privilege to get to finish some of his important work, and I promise to work hard over the next several months to support the president and carry forward the efforts of my brother on behalf of the citizens of South Carolina and the United States. I know Lindsey thought the world of his staff and colleagues, and with their support, I feel confident. I think this is what Lindsey would have wanted, and I plan to honor him in this way. Now to Lindsey, I miss you more than I can even put into words, but I'm going to do this. I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes this ceremony. Thank you. This way.
All right, so there you have it. That is Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham. What's her last name again?
Nordone.
Darlene Graham Nordone has now been appointed the next senator for South Carolina to serve out the remainder of Lindsey Graham's term, which will expire in January of 2027.
Yeah, I think they're referring to this as a caretaker appointment is what this is commonly referred to as. So I know it's got some months left on that, but
what does that mean? What does that mean? Like she's not going to throw her hat in there for the primary. This, I mean,
they're saying no.
Okay.
That this is just interim, just to go through. She's not a politician, does not want to be a politician,
Matter of
and
fact,
has no ambitions for long-term service in the Senate.
Yeah, I mean,
they've already got a long bench. McMaster's was saying yesterday that there's a long a full bench of folks that can now start their campaigns up and work toward the primary. Or work toward going for that
they got to
seat.
find out who's the nominee is going to be now, right?
Right.
And so I know Mark Lynch is going to attempt to, he was the most competitive primary challenger that Lindsey had. Mm-hmm. I'm sure other people will try as well. But interestingly enough, I mean, we had this article was this morning. So your point about her not being a politician, Senator Lindsey Graham's sister Darlene reacts to Trump recommending her to fill out the South Carolina seat. Interesting little qualification. McMaster says it was his idea. He called Trump and told him Trump said it was a great idea. Then Trump made his post is the way the timeline goes, according to Governor McMaster. Senator Lindsey Graham's only surviving family member spoke out briefly with the Post on Monday about the loss of her brother following a heart attack. President Trump recommended Graham's wonderful sister to serve as interim. She says, actually, I'm just kind of like devastated right now, is what she said on the brief phone call. So going from the loss of her brother to now, hey, you're now the next senator from South Carolina until January. It's been a wild 24 hours for her.
Yeah.
It's been a wild weekend. I mean, when you think about,
Yeah.
So I'll just share something personal, about my personal life, because it harkened back to that a little bit. Although these politicians don't know me and they don't have any personal bearing on my life. But it was the same sort of situation when I woke up and I saw that. I heard you talking about it. I was watching the show as I was driving in. And it was, you wake up and you expect. And I think I was the first to put it in our group text there. Lindsey Graham dead at 71.
I thought it was Eric, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. It did. Well,
Whatever.
I'm not trying to take credit for it. I'm just saying
I found
saw
out
it.
from the group text is what I was trying to say earlier.
Because I saw that and I was just like, wow, that's, if they're still sleeping. Was that Sunday morning?
Yeah.
It was Sunday morning. Okay.
It was around between 6:30-ish, 6:30 and 7.
Yeah.
It was the first thing I saw when I woke up.
So in 2020, my grandmother was dealing with, she was a lifelong smoker and had COVID and was in the hospital. She was on a ventilator. It was just a matter of time. And so I get a call from my uncle, and which is his mother, and I expected, hey, and he just says, hey, Rob, I just wanted to let you know that they just found your dad and he wasn't breathing. And I was just like, what? Because I got the call thinking this is about his mom when it was in fact my 57-year-old father. And then his mom died 4 days later. We had their funerals together. And I'm not trying to take this like on just a really, really sad moment. But it's amazing to me how all of these things come in threes. Have you ever heard that rule about
Yes.
the
So
100%.
we got Mitch McConnell is what you're thinking.
Yeah, so Mitch seems like he's going to be next, although he's good grief. Is he like?
Who knows? He didn't write that message though.
Right.
There's no. Did you see how long that message was? There is not a
Is
chance
he-
that man was like, "Well, let me write to my constituents."
Right? Is he? Is he? Like that? Gosh, that female villain from Austin Powers, and he like keeps killing her in every way, and he finally just says, "Why won't you die?" Because he throws her off a building, hits her with a bazooka. All this ridiculous. Listen, my full circle here. I've gone from the serious, passing of my
share.
father to
I
I was
Austin
trying not to
Powers.
laugh, but now you're
It's like
Got to share something personal with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yes.
So anyway, Austin Powers.
Austin Powers, yeah, baby. But anyway, it's with Mitch McConnell. It's like, why won't you die? That's kind of what a lot of the sentiment is. But let's just say if he's next, and so who's the third one going to be? And I'm not sitting here saying I'm rooting for it, but I am curious because I've seen it happen a million times where there's a third person. Lindsey Graham was probably the most unexpected.
Yeah, 71 years old.
Dude just got back from Ukraine, and of course the conspiracy theories starting and abounding. So interesting to see what happens. It's going to be extremely interesting to see because there was a there was a 3-person race in South Carolina. I think you would know more about it than I would there, but it was Lindsey, and this is the primary, Lindsey, Mark Lynch, and there was a third
Paul
candidate.
Dans. Paul Dans.
And it would have been nice to see Lindsey versus Mark Lynch there to see how that would have shaken out, because I believe that some of South Carolina was kind of, a little over some of his antics. But anyway, going to be interesting to see what happens between now and November.
Yeah, so here is Mark Lynch's statement. He says, on the passing of Senator Lindsey Graham, please join Sarah and me in praying for his family, friends, and staff, and all those mourning this unexpected loss. He writes, Sarah and I are deeply saddened to learn of Senator Lindsey Graham's sudden passing. Senator Graham devoted much of his life to serving South Carolina and our nation, both in the United States Air Force and in public office. While we had our political disagreements, today is not a day for politics. It's a day to recognize his decades of service and pray for everyone who knew and loved him. Our heartfelt condolences are with his friends, family, and staff, and all those mourning this unexpected loss. His passing is a profound loss for South Carolina and our nation. His death has been confirmed by his office and major national news organizations. Let me see if Mark Lynch has any sort of updates since then. It looks like he went on Alex Jones's show. So I already knew. I'd heard that, he has announced that, he's going to seek the nomination, that he basically, got second place for it. So it's a logical move. Also, his opponent, Paul Dans, Heritage Foundation guy, helped write that Project 2025 plan, which is really, really good, who dropped out and endorsed Mark Lynch. Here is his statement upon hearing the news of the sudden death of Lindsey Graham.
A word on the tragic death of Senator Lindsey Graham. This is a man who came from small town South Carolina and under very trying circumstances rose to the very top of the world stage. He did it because he worked tirelessly. He wore our country's uniform. He deeply believed in South Carolina and the United States, and he lived life with gusto and a great sense of humor. We didn't always agree politically. Today, Mary Helen and we join the rest of South Carolina in extending our deepest sympathies to the Graham family and the many friends Lindsey left behind, not only here in our state, but all over the country and indeed the world. Senator Graham, Lindsey, rest in peace.
All right, so that's from the kind of the on-ground political dynamics. It'll be interesting to see what happens and who else ends up potentially throwing their hat in the ring. And again, I know Mark Lynch has. Haven't heard that Paul Dans is. I can't imagine that he would. But we'll see. We'll see.
How close was it between him and Mark Lynch?
I can't remember exactly, but not. Mark had the funding. The funding to actually be competitive, and that bared out in what did he get? 30%, something like that. Mm-hmm. Mark Lynch got around 30% of the vote. So to me, he's the natural choice. However, I also know Mark Lynch was far to the right of Lindsey Graham, and in a state like South Carolina that has the RNC infrastructure that was backing Graham, I can't imagine they're not going to want to try to put some establishment guy in there, to try to preserve his legacy.
Yeah.
Which we can talk about what his legacy is, here in a minute. But in other news, and I want to get to that because we have the 911 call, and I want to go through all of that with you guys, and also go through with some of his. I know you've brought up the Kavanaugh hearings many times and that sort of thing. There were these little moments, and even Seth Keshel here. So Seth Keshel says it's going to be a huge 24 hours. President Trump is now scheduled to be making a speech to the nation on Thursday evening. Okay, so not tonight. So I'll amend my statement. I think at the top of the show I said it was tonight. So President Trump will be making a speech to the nation on Thursday evening at 9 Eastern. Thank you for your attention in this matter. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the whole thing, I know that we're going to talk a little bit about his legacy. Everybody's been talking about it today, and we've got some other. There's a gosh, so much happened over the weekend, which is great. This is why we love doing this show, because we can talk about all these issues with you. But anyway, one thing that I don't want us to forget, because I would assume that any person who is watching this is a conservative who votes Republican. Now, you may be a conservative who begrudgingly votes for a Republican candidate, but I've said I disagreed with so much that Lindsey Graham did. We had our
Graham
watch. I guess today might be the last sort of final iteration of it, but who knows? We'll see how it all pans out. But anywho, but I'm just, here's the point that I want to make, and I don't want to belabor it, is that he was a reliable Republican vote.
100%.
And when we're talking about right now the joining of the ranks and how John Thune is not doing the will of the American people, Lindsey Graham was all about the Save America Act, which speaks volumes to how dedicated he is to the issues that Donald Trump cares about. And so if any vein that he's in there, I'm with him. I'm with him on that, and I'm always going to be thankful that he was a reliable Republican vote. I disagreed with him on his stances on our role in involvement overseas. But I will give him a little bit of credit. He served, and so I give a little bit more validity to someone who's saying, now, I don't know what era he served in, whether he actually saw any sort of,
he was
combat.
a JAG officer.
26 years in the Navy.
Yeah, but 26 years, that's nothing to shake a stick at. That's incredible service to our country, and he's been in the United States Senate. My fear is that the military-industrial complex got their hooks in him, and and what happens with all politicians there, that they get this special interest and lobbyists, and what happens is they start voting.
Also blackmail. Don't forget blackmail.
There's blackmail on that too, so you just never know how all that pans out. But he was a reliable Republican, and he was a reliable Trump supporter. So for that, he will always have my respect.
Well, reliable when it was fair weather. I mean, he also said we should shoot J6ers in the head, and he was done with Trump.
I don't
after
remember
J6.
that one, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, he said those things, but I get it.
But he didn't vote to impeach him like Cassidy,
right? What we're experiencing now, I would just say, is this urge that we have to be respectable, decent human beings and be nice, even though literally. I mean, so much of the show the last 6 months has been the Graham Watch and literally making fun of him for being a closeted homosexual and loving new wars, right? I get it.
You can't forget those parts of his legacy.
That's right. I mean, when I think of Lindsey Graham, I just think of so much frustration and
Sure.
from a conservative voter that just has always been perplexed. How does South Carolina have that guy as his representative? But to your point, Rob. Seth Keshel, who's been instrumental in exposing voter fraud, election integrity efforts, that sort of thing, has a Substack where he says the Trump-Graham alliance and the future of the vacant South Carolina Senate seat. And he makes the point that you just made, Rob. He says, the timeline of American political life has always fascinated me, just as I find it fascinating that President John Tyler had grandchildren. Our 10th president had grandchildren who lived into the 21st century. I find it fascinating that Graham's seat, which he held since 2003, had only been held by one other man since 1956. That man was the notorious Strom Thurmond, who switched his party affiliation to Republican from Democrat in 1964, the year of the Goldwater Revolution and a terrible national landslide for Lyndon Johnson. Suffice it to say that Graham had been a Washington, D.C. fixture for a long time, even longer when we consider his time in the U.S. House. Whether you liked Graham or not, this is a big deal. Just as it will be a big deal when Mitch McConnell vacates his seat in the near future. The MAGA coalition is made up of the most ideological diverse Republican group ever assembled. You've got old guard Reaganite Republicans, neoconservatives dwindling, thank the Lord, evangelical social conservatives, trade populists, reform libertarians, and other loosely aligned groups, think like the Maha movement. This naturally means these factions are in constant competition and conflict with one another, and younger members of the alliance who don't bolt for the doors struggle to reconcile their views with that of the old world, which Graham belonged to. Seth Keshel goes on, says, Graham, as we all know, was very hawkish. He came into conflict with President Trump over his views on foreign policy. He was also soft on illegal immigration and was an early critic of Trump's heavy-handed proposals, yet he remained someone the president valued until his last breath. I'm here to tell you like it is, though. He says it doesn't mean you have to like it, and it most certainly doesn't mean I even agree with the president or anyone else's view for that matter. But let me help you understand why Trump looked past his differences with Graham and why there are now many unsolved issues related to his unexpected passing. And he basically says every time there's a Supreme Court pick awaiting confirmation or there's a life or death issue like the Save America Act up for a vote, every patriot in the world starts counting their fingers. Murkowski, Collins, McConnell, Curtis, Tillis, plenty of Senate alumni such as Flake, Romney, Alexander, Cornyn, and other squishes looking to appease everyone.
Yeah, but who's not on that list?
Lindsey Graham wasn't on that list, is his point.
And mine too.
And that's your point.
Agreed.
That's why I said all
Mine
that to
too.
say, and you had not read this article when you
Correct.
made that point. And
Correct.
so you're not the only one. You're very intelligent like Seth Keshel because he's just looking at the political reality of it all.
Well, he's got a lot more evidence based with that but I'm not going to I will not ever throw out someone's criticisms and opposition to Donald Trump in 2016 because we didn't know what we didn't know.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
When he was, he was coming out, he was saying a lot of things that a lot of us agreed with, but he was also saying, if you remember, he was saying a lot of things that no politician had ever said before.
Right.
And so you're just kind of like, I'm going to bomb the hell out of them. I don't care. That's from Trump 1.0. That is not from current Trump. And
Although,
yes, we've seen all this, but I'm just trying to say this,
you're talking about political, like his
J.D. Vance,
his verbiage,
calling him Hitler,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Trump literally just said what all the other ones say behind closed doors.
Right.
He would just say publicly.
But he governed as one of the most conservative Republican presidents that we've ever had. He just did things a whole lot different than anybody else, and of course, if you went after him, he would destroy you on Twitter. Lindsey, I guess he just for some reason Donald Trump has always had maybe what you would call a soft spot for him, appreciated him, all of that stuff. Lindsey Graham's rise to fame, somebody would argue should have been when he ran for president in 2016, but he just had such a minor blip there that the real time I would say that most people would agree that he entered the ring here was the Kavanaugh hearings.
2018. Yep.
Yeah.
I will never forget that speech as long as I live.
Yeah.
And like I told you guys before, through all his shenanigans, whatever his sexual proclivities are or our speculation on whatever, and the fact that we disagreed with his extreme war hawkishness that frustrated us when, we really do strive for peace. And I don't feel like he was somebody that strived for peace, but that was just ready to bomb people. And we've talked about that before. Without Lindsey Graham, we would not have Justice Kavanaugh. We would not have Justice Alito. And he was the co-sponsor.
You mean Gorsuch?
No, I mean Alito. Look back.
Oh, yeah, look back. Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about not in Trump 1.0.
Yeah.
We would, and he was the co-sponsor of the Save America Act. So,
yeah.
I mean, he had a lot of good qualities and a lot of friends on both sides of the aisle, and now there's nobody like him. That's the other issue here when I look at things from the political
Not
landscape.
in the Senate, you're
is
right.
that there is nobody now to be able to at least be that voice where you can say, I've got friends over there that I can talk to, and they may not get it, but they're at least going to hear from me, and they're going to answer my phone call, and we're going to have a conversation. And I may walk away from this, and they still may be 5 gallons of crazy in a 3-gallon bucket, Democrats, about it. But I at least have a voice. I have at least have an open line of communication
Yeah,
with these
that's a
people.
great point.
And now there's nobody like that. There is no other Lindsey Graham in the Senate.
Did you ever? I'm just sitting here thinking about that because did you guys ever watch the Netflix series with Kevin Spacey before he got canceled? House of Cards.
House of
Oh,
Cards.
yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. Especially the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have speculated over the years that
It was about him.
that Lindsey Graham's character, or that Kevin Spacey's character, was based on Lindsey Graham.
When Kevin Spacey's character pushed the girl, the reporter, in front of the
Yes.
train,
It was crazy.
Holy cow.
I remember sitting back from my computer screen.
Yeah. I was like, Kate Mara just died.
Huh.
Yeah.
That just happened.
Yeah.
You know? And it set the tone.
She was my favorite character.
And it completely set the tone for, okay, this guy's willing to do anything.
Yeah.
Like you get the impression, which stands to reason that didn't come from nowhere. Right.
Yeah.
This came from what people know about politicians.
Hollywood's well aware of what people are
I'm not saying
capable of.
that politicians are pushing reporters in front of trains, but
They do decide who lives and who dies.
Yeah.
And somebody like Lindsey
there's
Graham
that
did.
one. Yes.
I mean, you can make the argument here. Lindsey Graham is responsible, for the deaths of a lot of people when you start raking up all of the foreign wars and stuff that he advocated for and that sort of thing. Even President Trump said on CNN in reaction to the death, and I've got this clip if we have time, basically saying, we disagreed on Ukraine. I want to end it. Of course, he was over in Ukraine trying to keep it going, which is very consistent, honestly. And Trump says, 25,000 people were dying a day in that war. I want that to stop. Lindsey Graham and I disagree on that. Lindsey Graham wanted the war to continue. I mean, he said that.
Lindsey
Jake
Graham
Tapper yesterday.
He wanted a coalition backing Ukraine to defeat Putin.
Yeah.
And I think that any rational, independent person, and you can be an independent person in any country other than, say, Russia or Ukraine, and maybe I'm wrong on that part too, would look at this and say, Vladimir Putin can end this war anytime he wants to end this war. He just has to go with an extremely inhumane thing that's going to destroy any sort of reputation. Well, I mean, I don't think he cares about his reputation, but any sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like your ability to do
moral
things.
high ground at all, like any glimpse at a moral high ground.
Well, I think he would just be so ostracized if he won this war the way that he's capable of winning this war. And I'm not necessarily
by what, capitulating or by giving,
just completely destroying Ukraine.
Sorry, the other way.
Just completely destroying
going
it,
scorched.
and not necessarily with a nuclear weapon, but just saying I'm just going to open up I'm going to completely kill them all, and then I'm going to make them bow down, and I'll have this land.
I don't know if this is,
But,
some people say he doesn't want to do that because, that'd be like us blowing up Pennsylvania. Like they look at Ukraine as Russian, even though it's not. You know what I mean? Like, it's part of the.
But the point that I
larger-
was trying to make there is that Lindsey Graham was this whole like, hey, let's just keep sending all of these weapons to Ukraine. All we're doing is delaying the inevitable with this. Russia's going to get what they're going to get. Okay. Now, you might be able to negotiate with them in some way where they take less than what they originally wanted, but honestly, I just don't see that's possible at this point. Vladimir Putin set out with an agenda, and he's going to achieve that agenda however long it takes. But bottom line is, Lindsey Graham was pushing Ukraine to say, you can do this. You can do this. It's like trying to support the female wrestler, in a male sport here, like, okay, hey, great effort, all that stuff. But what are you doing here?
He chose female wrestling.
I don't know. That's what came to my mind. I don't know.
I was thinking, I was like, oh.
I think it's a great analogy, but you kind of
sometimes when they're younger, it's pretty even match. But you never know.
Adding to that point,
Yeah.
that was a delusion. Trump just didn't wants to end it because he says that 25,000 human souls are dying every day. We shouldn't be for that. But the other thing is there is nothing you can do because the cards are the cards, and barring us triggering a nuclear war, there's no end game here. It just is what it is.
Lindsey Graham's last act and last political maneuver was for sanctions on Russia. That was the last thing that he was pushing for, was sanctions on Russia. So, and I don't know if that would do anything. Like you said, to your point, like, yeah, whatever.
Here's ultimately how that war needs to end. And this is coming from a podunk guy here in Arkansas. Let me just give you the
it probably
solution.
Is going to make way more sense than anything that's going on.
Here's the secret sauce.
Get the short ready.
I equate it to going to that car dealership. What's it going to take for you to buy this car? Okay, what's it going to take? Okay, what's it going to take? And then you say this, and this. Right now. This is not one of those instances where I get to take this back to my sales manager. Sales manager says, I can't do that, Da, 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 da. See if he'll take this. Okay. That's not, we're past that. We're not going to do that. Can't negotiate. Putin's got all the cards. So you say, what's it going to take for you to stop this, sign a peace agreement, pull out your troops, all of that? All right, I want this country, I want this land, I want this road, I want this, I want all of these things, Putin. Okay, Ukraine, you have just lost this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. You're going to sign this piece of paper. We've got a deal here. Now, here's what we're going to do. We, as the rest of the world, are going to ticket that car every time it hits the road, okay? We are going to pull them over. We're going to harass them. We're going to make their life a living hell because they totally screwed the dealership out of this, okay? Sticking with my original analogy here. Putin, you're going to get what you want to get. Can't stop you. We want to stop the bloodshed, but we're going to put sanctions on you. We're going to make it impossible for Europe to buy oil from you, okay? We're going to extremely extremely hinder your relationships with the evil axis here with North Korea. Can't do a whole lot with North Korea, but we can sure as hell do some stuff with China, okay? We're going to make it really hard for China to continue to do business with you, Russia, okay? So we're gonna sell you this car. This is what you said to sign the deal. We're going to sell you this car.
Yeah.
But
Voldemort Zelensky does not want to give away that land.
Yeah. But it gets
Voldemort says no.
because it gets you out of here. But we're going to harass the hell out of you because of what you did. You should not have taken advantage here.
Throw in a kilo of cocaine.
Voldemort would like to give you an extra kilo.
Here's what I'll say. I think generally you're correct generally, but
I'm very correct.
I would say specifically part of the peace agreement is going to be and you're going to normalize relations. You're not going to sanction us. I mean, I think that's
Mr. KGB is not going to allow for penalties.
Well, what is it? What
on him?
I mean, what does that agreement do? What is that? Is it if I say, "Hey, I'm not going to sanction you," and I sign a piece of paper saying I'm not, and then I sanction you?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea exactly. Yeah. But
listen,
how
you're
long
getting
will
pulled
this
over.
thing drag out? Though is the thing. To your point, I mean, I love the used car sales pitch.
Got to go in on
like
the 28th of the month, though.
But
You go in at the end of the month to make the deal.
What is
where
it,
the ruble value is really low.
You got to make that. No, you got to make that quota. You know, first of the
that's
month
true.
they
We
won't
need
make
some
any deals
rubles.
with you. End of the month, they're like, "Hey, sales manager's like, yeah, sure, 4,000 off."
Right.
First of the month, no, give me 4,000 off.
Yeah, you're beating them up. Here's a little tip for you as a person who buys and sells a vehicle about once a year. Go and find a vehicle that's been on that lot for like 85 days or whatever, because most of those dealerships get 90 days free interest on that. And so about that 90th day, that's the dealer special.
Well, so there's that website. There's a few of the websites that do this, but there's a website called Car Guru. And
Car Guru is good.
It'll list the days on the lot.
Yeah. So you get that days on the lot there, and you go in, and you can negotiate because they're paying out the rear for those, or they're about to pay out the rear, and say it to them like, "Hey, you've had this for 87 days. Maybe you get a sale in the next 3 days, but I'm a bona fide buyer here,
and I'm here now.
What's it going to take, Vladimir, for you to leave us alone?
Is this your Ukrainian?
That's Mike Zelensky. That's my. Zelensky
I got to be honest.
interpretation.
It's not as good as Paul's Tim Burchett.
Oh no,
okay?
Nothing can beat that.
Yeah.
You got to take.
Go ahead. Do it.
You got to tell Vladimir Putin, we're just done. We're done with this.
So good.
We're dealing with our own
good.
aliens over here.
Yeah.
It's so good.
We're being invaded by aliens.
Yeah.
You got stuff going on. The stuff I've seen, and then we're going to act like we don't need world peace. We need Russia on our side.
Our scientists are falling off our flat Earth here.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. People in this town, they just don't understand what diplomacy is really about when you got aliens, that are bearing down on us.
Right. And then he's like, but I hate to do this, but can you pitch in $5 for my campaign?
Yeah.
He's been posting those recently.
Yeah.
I'm ready to show y'all Area 51, 52, 53, and 54.
Yes.
Listen, I'll pitch in some money for Tim Burchett. I like him.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Take my money.
I'm a fan of Tim Burchett. All right, so
Is Mitch McConnell dead yet?
has
that been released?
No, let me see here. I am going to get back to that Lindsey Graham. We were going to cover Lindsey Graham a little bit more, but to your point, where's Mitch McConnell in this? Yeah,
I love
here it is.
Big Tom Callahan.
Oh yeah, on the Mitch McConnell or on Lindsey Graham, real quick. And then you'll get,
What is this?
Big Tom Callahan.
This is what we talked about on the show last week.
Oh man,
so
I
good.
missed that one.
I hear
It's
lots.
so good.
I hear lots of conspiracy theorists saying Lindsey Graham was a healthy man. There's no way he died of a natural heart attack. Let me remind you what I was doing moments before I kicked the bucket.
Hold up, pause this. Let me tell you this. I just want it known that Big Tom Callahan just closed a deal.
Yeah.
Right before he goes up on stage here.
That's right.
Okay.
I can get a good look at a T-bone.
500,000 brake pads.
Yeah, he's like, well, before I sign this deal there, Tom, I'll have to come by and take a look at your facilities. And he's like, hey, that's totally fine. You can do that. I can get a good look at a T-bone steak by sticking my head up a bull's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it. He's like, sounds good, Tom. We'll send the papers over.
Such a classic.
That's such
line.
a great movie. Like, if you've not seen Tommy Boy recently, go watch it.
And when Tommy Boy tried, it was just so. It would have to be your bull.
Yeah, that's what the Iranian government says.
I can get a good look at your butcher.
Yeah.
I can get a good look at a butcher's ass.
I can get a look at your butcher.
No, that would have to be your bull. Then
It'd have to be your.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But no,
Shut up, Richard.
That's what the Iranians have been saying. They're like, we need to inspect your nuclear facilities.
Yeah.
And Iran's like, well, you can get a good look at a camel by.
Yeah, because
Bad guy in a little coat.
That's right. Where's the weight room?
Tommy boy, now get this place going.
Paramount's going to give me a strike, or whoever made this movie. And
there he goes.
Come on now, feel.
Dad.
What's funny is Dad just died.
sorry.
No, the best part of that whole thing is he goes, saw that new wife. Boy, would I like to get some of that.
Hey, you got to.
That's not on, is it?
Yeah. It'll cost you.
you.
You got an edit button on that thing? You got an edit button? Come here.
Boy, you really did it this time, Tom.
Oh,
Boy,
my
would
God.
I like to get some
This
of
is so
that.
good. We've really gone off the rails here. It's a great movie. Listen, for our whole show one day,
David
we just
Spade goes, oh my.
Yeah. He's like,
good Lord. That's what he says. Good Lord.
He goes, good Lord.
There's so many.
Sorry,
great
like our listeners are probably like, "What are these dudes doing?"
You forget what a gift David Spade was in that role. I mean, David Spade gave birth to a brand of sarcasm.
There are no rails here.
David Spade gave birth to a brand of sarcasm that was a personality trait for guys I knew in high school. Good Lord. You know, like,
I swear.
That'll cost you.
All right. I'm so sorry to our listening audience.
Okay.
We're back on track now.
Here we go.
Okay. Here we go.
Here we go. Politics.
In a modern context, this is what Lindsey Graham is most famous for.
You're really gonna go from that into this?
Yeah, because we're
Let's
trying to
do a little setup.
We're
Come
trying
on,
to reground it. This is what he's best known for.
Lord have mercy.
We've referenced it countless times on the show in our criticism of Graham.
Still remember where I was when this happened.
I do too.
Literally,
it was great.
I was actually on my way.
I
was on my way to see. It was back when I was on radio. We had an affiliate that was carrying the show in Stuttgart, Arkansas. So I was on my way down there to check on that affiliate. You know, everything was good, and I'm in the middle of nowhere listening to a talk radio station. I think it was Hannity's show, and they were cutting to this live.
I would imagine that this was probably. I would imagine this was probably the most watched, Supreme Court confirmation because of all the trash that they threw at him and that Lindsey talks about in this. And so we were all just kind of glued to our TV. I probably more so than you two guys. I follow the Supreme Court. I love the Supreme Court. Any information that comes out about the Supreme Court, I just absorb it like it's speed. But in this respect, it was so iconic that SNL parodied this.
Oh yeah,
and what's her face just kind of made fun of them and all of this stuff. But if SNL is poking fun at you, that means it was pretty important. So let's take a look. I know people have been watching this over the last 24 to 48 hours here, but it's just.
Are you aware that at 9:23 on the night of July the 9th, the day you were nominated to the Supreme Court by President Trump, Senator Schumer said, 23 minutes after your nomination, "I will oppose Judge Kavanaugh's nomination with everything I have. I have a bipartisan, and I hope a bipartisan majority will do the same. The stakes are simply too high for anything less." Well, if you weren't aware of it, you are now. Did you meet with Senator Dianne Feinstein on August 20th?
I did meet with Senator Feinstein.
Did you know that her staff had already recommended a lawyer to Dr. Ford?
I did not know that.
Did you know that her and her staff had this allegations for over 20 days?
I did not know that at the time.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham, that you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process. You came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend. Do you consider this a job interview?
The advice and consent role is like a job interview.
You consider that you've been through a job interview?
I've been through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution.
Would you say you've been through hell?
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview.
Yeah.
This is hell.
This
is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap. Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life, not one accusation. You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school. And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding that if you drug women and rape them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop. Here's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned. He is the very circumspect in his personal conduct, harbors no biases or prejudices. He's entirely ethical, is a really decent person. He is warm, friendly, unassuming. He's the nicest person. The ABA. The one thing I can tell you, you should be proud of. Ashley, you should be proud of this. That you raised a daughter who had the good character to pray for Dr. Ford. To my Republican colleagues, if you vote no, you're legitimizing the most despicable thing I have seen in my time in politics. You want this seat? I hope you never get it. I hope you're on the Supreme Court. That's exactly where you should be. And I hope that the American people will see through this charade. And I wish you well, and I intend to vote for you, and I hope everybody who's fair-minded will.
So, yeah, that was...
Yeah, absolutely.
In hindsight, the Bill Cosby reference, probably not the best reference to make.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was appropriate for the time.
Really? We didn't know about Bill Cosby back
No,
then?
that's what he's saying. They're basically putting him out to be a gang rapist.
Yeah, gang rapist.
Like likening him
Oh, you're
to
supposed
Bill
to be
Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
You're supposed to be
Okay.
Bill Cosby
Yeah.
out here.
Okay.
I
raping-
looked at you when you
Okay.
heard that, and I was like, oh.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he's actually saying, okay, good. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
correction.
he's
so it was an
what their
appropriate reference. I
accusations
stand
are.
corrected.
Yeah, what their accusations are is that he was a rapist,
Right.
And then he just stopped.
Yeah.
Because to Lindsey Graham's point here, he worked with thousands of female colleagues, and no one ever said anything, ever. And they would say something when you say it's a person who worked with him, and then they're removed from their position for something completely unrelated. If he would have also put the moves on them, that's the first thing they're going to talk about.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that's going to happen. And Lindsey Graham, in my opinion, was one of the greatest, of course, having the number of votes here. I can't remember what the Kavanaugh vote was in retrospect when in comparison to how many senators we had, at that moment. But regardless, without Lindsey Graham, it's hard to imagine that Brett Kavanaugh would have been on the Supreme Court. And although I have been disappointed in some of Brett Kavanaugh's decisions, I have applauded and agreed with many of them.
Yeah.
In fact, most of them.
Remember, the Senate was going down a road of launching an FBI investigation to then completely derail his confirmation. So that was the thing. This brought it completely back. It brought Joe Manchin back in. Joe Manchin ended up voting for Kavanaugh and was not going to it changed everything.
Gosh, where are the Joe Manchins of the world?
There aren't any more Joe Manchins in the
the
Democratic
closest
Party.
that you've
It's
got
Fetterman.
is Fetterman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
How is that guy one of the only ones with an ounce of common sense?
Oh, gosh, man, I don't know where.
And that's what's sad about losing Lindsey Graham is he would at least reach across to Schumer and White House and all the other.
I'm actually comfortable with that not being a thing anymore, just because I don't think any of their ideas are legitimate anyway, right? I mean, that's just me. But I get to the point. It is kind of an end of an era. And you kind of wonder, Lindsey Graham being so young from a boomer perspective, only 71, and then you get Mitch McConnell, I don't know how old he is, but you get these guys, and we've talked about this before, this desire to get elected, stay in power forever, and then die in office like you're some sort of monarch. You kind of wonder, I mean, is there anybody in D.C. that's old that looks at this and is has a wake-up moment? Maybe I'm being way too optimistic and says, yeah, maybe I should go back home and just spend the rest of my days with my family instead of just dying in office. Not a single one.
Not a single one. The reason it won't be a single solitary one is going back to what we talked about over the last couple of weeks, and that is that they can't envision their life after power.
Yeah.
There
are no more Trey Gowdies.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. And the only ones who are like retiring / resigning / refusing to run for re-election are people who are successful in some other way. And they're like, I don't want to do this.
Well, and even Trey Gowdy gets a show on Fox News, so it's not as if he went home.
Well, he's a very accomplished author.
Obscurity.
Yeah, Trey Gowdy's books
I get
are
it. Fine. He's not in power,
yeah.
but I get that. I'm just saying, but even him, I mean, how many people are just... Oh, and by the way, on the whole House of Cards thing, there was a lot of people back that just hated the way that made, they didn't like the show because of how it made Washington look, so evil, and people were like, yeah, I think this is real life. The same thing happened with Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. When that movie came out, even back then, DC hated it because it exposed them for all being a bunch of, legalized liars and crooks.
So
sorry, I derailed your point.
No. Listen, for that, it's right on point there, because when you think about what was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, he's trying to get this piece of legislation to go through, and he's got opposition. And so what did they do? They started controlling all of the media back then, which was newspapers and the radio, I guess. But realistically, they had these newspapers. And so Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. He's doing this filibuster, the talking filibuster, the real filibuster, the constitutional filibuster. Yes, that was an indictment against politicians who would do anything to silence the minority, or in this case, what turned out to be the actual majority, because they were trying to paint this picture. And I forget what the purpose of the bill was. It's been so I literally watched Mr. Smith Goes to Washington when I was in my teenage years, maybe in my 20s. I can't remember, and I haven't seen it since. But it was so impactful to me, and it told me, like, okay, well, apparently this is how politics works.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Sit over there when you're filibustering, and we're over here, and
his Jimmy Stewart's good too.
And I just gotta say, Mr. Speaker, you're not representing the people. You think you are, but you're not. I am.
My gosh, he's good. He's good with these impressions.
So good.
It's like
it comes from It's a Wonderful Life.
I felt like I'm watching It's a Wonderful Life.
Mary?
Yeah.
Mary. Which is great. I watch it every Christmas. If you don't watch It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas, I want to question you.
I watch it. I think it's the greatest. I think it's greatest movie, arguably greatest movie ever made, American movie ever made.
Yeah.
Period.
What's sad is that it took off. Sadly, that movie became popular in the early '80s because of television. It was actually a box office flop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did not know that.
And Jimmy Stewart. It was Jimmy Stewart's favorite movie.
Oh.
That he had ever made.
Wow.
And he died in '76 somewhere. I don't know, somewhere in the '70s. He never saw that movie. Become popular, and it's, many people believe that it's the greatest holiday movie. There's going to be some people that say, oh, Home Alone, or
no, I mean, I get
Miracle on 34th Street, whatever. I don't know, but for my money, it's a Wonderful Life, but I think that we've talked about it on the show too. The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy, all the corruption that is happening with politicians. And, unfortunately, that's what has tarnished Lindsey Graham's legacy, in my opinion, is just that his unwavering support for foreign wars. It's hard for us to believe that that's not the the neocons, certainly the military industrial complex pulling the strings back there.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of stuff right here that he was really passionate about, here in the last year.
So when we were faced with destruction as a nation after Pearl Harbor, fighting the Germans and the Japanese, we decided to end the war by bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki with nuclear weapons. That was the right decision. Give Israel the bombs they need to end the war they can't afford to lose, and work with them to minimize casualties. Well, can I say this? Why is it okay for America to drop 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end their existential threat war? Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. To Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
So, I mean, he was talking about nuking Iran or giving, that was kind of his passion.
Well, he's talking about on Gaza too, as well.
Yeah. But I just want to make a note here. I mean, feel free to respond to that, but he really, I haven't really paid attention to how he looks,
but there.
He does not look healthy there, and he looks totally different from that hearing that we just watched.
Well,
with
sure,
Kavanaugh.
but that's several years later. But think about this. The video of him speaking in Ukraine
on Friday.
Was it the day? Oh, it was the day before. Basically the day before, because he died late Saturday night.
Correct.
That's it right there.
Yeah, so I think he looked better there. He's just looking older, but he was outside speaking, and he looked good. So I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to look like at 71.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
An aortic dissection.
Tell us about that, Eric.
Yeah,
what exactly is that?
So think of your aorta as like this fire hose in your heart that's pumping blood extremely fast, and so inside there, a lot of times people get valve repairs or valve replacements. You can use pig valves, bovine valves. They have mechanical valves that flutter open and shut, and those can be implanted by a cardiovascular surgeon. They're even to the point now where they're going transcatheter, so they can go up through one of the veins in your leg and implant one of these mechanical type valves. And he had existing heart disease, and if you get diagnosed with stenosis and bad stuff around your valves, usually you'll get those replaced. But I think this was just to the point to where he had existing heart disease, but a valve dissection like that is just a tear that just happens really fast, and he would have been really symptomatic really fast, and he would have died very soon. After that, it would have caused a massive heart attack, and you would not have been able to bring him back.
Yeah,
from that.
Dr. Mehmet Oz was on ABC today talking about it, and he used a roll of paper towels to describe it, and he talked about the roll in the middle there versus the roll on the outside, and how it basically, the roll in the middle, he pressed it in like it was getting clamped. And he just said that blood starts going outside of it and all of that, and starts going into this wall. And he's like, you're a ticking time bomb. But he did say that exactly to your point, Eric. He goes, once the symptoms hit, it's a very short time frame. He's like, most people die within that day. They die that day, but a greater percentage die within 2 days. You don't have long. Even if you have medical care right there.
I think he may have been symptomatic on that flight back from Ukraine, and it just there's nothing you can do.
Well, does can altitude and pressure have any?
I'm not sure.
Can't imagine that it helps.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but when you're pretty vulnerable when you're on a flight over from Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that's why it was just so
well,
sudden.
I don't know how you have a conversation with Donald Trump that he said he sounded fine, except that he sounded tired.
Yeah.
And he just attributed it to, the long flight. But I don't know how you have that conversation and then you're dead a couple of hours later if it wasn't what we're hearing. Unless you've been poisoned or assassinated. But
well, let's briefly cover that real quick before we do anything else. So he was at this Skyfall factory in Ukraine. That's the company's name. It's a drone manufacturing facility.
I forget how short he is, too, by the way.
U.S. Senator Graham visits drone production facility during Ukraine trip. Okay. Now, then we have this story. It's from the Hungarian Conservative. Never heard of it. So this is, just take it with a grain of salt. The headline here, just based on these different X posts, did Russia kill Lindsey Graham? Theories swirl after hawkish senator dies. Okay. And it says here, Republican Lindsey Graham of South Carolina died in Washington on Saturday, July 11th, age 71. Shortly after returning from Ukraine, his office confirmed. U.S. media reported that emergency personnel responded to a cardiac arrest call at his Capitol Hill home. Senator Tim Scott said it appeared to have been a heart attack, but no final medical examiner. Graham was among the most important figures. So you have people react. And then you get this. Most serious allegation came from somebody named Igor Eidman, an exiled Russian sociologist and opposition commentator with previous experience in Russian political institutions. Eidman said there was a very high probability that Russian intelligence had killed Graham, arguing that this timing and location supported his theory. He speculated that Graham could have been exposed to a delayed action poison during his Ukrainian visit. Eidman cited no intelligence source, witness, or forensic evidence to substantiate the claim. So we have...
He's just saying could have been.
Could have been. And then on the other side of that, you have another theory that I can't find confirmed that I cannot find a report yet, and maybe there is one out there, but there's people saying that Russia struck this drone facility. The word is after Graham left. There are some people speculating that maybe it wasn't after, and he got caught up in there was a strike reportedly that I can't confirm on the drone facility, and then a hotel where allegedly Graham would have been staying. I don't know if that's the case, but there's two narratives out there that are the conspiratorial narratives. One is poisoning. The other is we died in an actual kinetic attack, and that this is all a cover.
Yeah, but then you would have to believe this.
Yeah, this is a road we don't want to go down.
I'm just saying that they're out there, and you know why they're out there? Because nobody trusts the government.
Well, nobody trusts the government.
Because the government has given us very little reason to trust anything they say. So I'm not necessarily saying there's, I want to report on it because 6 months from now, you never know, man.
You'd have to believe though that Russia killed a United States senator.
Yeah.
Which would be one of the biggest, if it were ever proven, one of the biggest escalations.
We want nuclear war,
because think about
we just talked about the cards they have right now, they're fine the way it is.
Well, think about the coordination that would have to take place for a Russian official to be able to slip some poison to Lindsey Graham. I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. I think the dude had a heart attack. I think he was unfortunate there with this aortic dissection. Yeah,
so
aortic dissection.
Ivan Raiklin, who has long kept a list of deep state traitors that need to be arrested to restore our republic, he responds to some of these conspiracy theories by saying, "For the Q-tards and broader retards, traitors and cowards in our government, I would like to introduce you to something called a police scanner. Additionally, there is a concept called relationship, something I have developed in my 20-plus year history in the IC across every institution in each branch of the government and law enforcement entity in D.C. and beyond. Most security details of prominent government and private sectors, individuals are people that I have worked with and know. When a police EMS call like this comes in at 8:30 p.m. with an address matching a senator on my list of interest, of course I'm immediately alerted," he says, "within seconds to minutes, enabling me to immediately contact other sources in the vicinity of the incident to confirm the details. I apologize for always being first." So he links to the...
response, 517 response, chest pains.
Yeah.
South Capitol Street, Southeast.
So anyway, they have the... I mean, we're not going to listen to it all because you can't really make... But they're responding to chest pains. And wait, I still don't know who made the 911 call, though. If it was Lindsey himself or if it was somebody else. Was somebody with him? I don't know. But
well, I'm sure somebody will FOIA that. But
one of the things I've heard is that his staff was like family. And I mean, in their fears, it was like a family. They all loved and adored him. I'm sure there was someone around, and that he wasn't just by himself, obviously. And yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys want to take a little quick break, real quick, and let me reset
take a
here.
Quick break.
All right, let's do that. We're going to take a break. Going to be back here in just a minute. This is the Paul Harold Program. We really appreciate you being with us. We can't do the show without you guys. Don't go anywhere. Back in a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red Vive.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago, he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier, and when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the mush puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about 1.5 years ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
Why is Red Vive different? What sets it apart? What sets us apart from the standard red light panels? This is a medical grade device, and what that means is the red light bulbs and the near infrared bulbs have very specific wavelengths. If you think about the wavelength as the medicine, the 635, the 670, the 810, the 850, those were specifically chosen because those are the most powerful effectors of the cells. So those specific wavelengths, when they get into our body, when they affect our tissue, they spike energy production, they help with nerve pain control, they increase stem cell counts. There's very specific mechanisms that those specific wavelengths work at, and that's the medicine. So if you think of, say, medicine as an Advil or a specific steroid or a blood pressure medication, the wavelength is the medication. The other part of that, whenever you take a medication, is dose. Right? So you have the medication. So if you take 1 milligram of Advil, and the average dose of an Advil is 200 milligrams to 800 milligrams, it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the medicine's bad. It just means you didn't take enough. Right? And so even if you have the right wavelengths, first you have to have the right medicine, and then you have to have the right dose. And to have the right dose, in light therapy, you have to have enough energy. So you have to have a powerful bulb. The LED bulbs, or light emitting diodes, have a specific wavelength, and that wavelength is the medicine. And the wavelengths that have been studied and published on that are the most powerful in affecting healing and the changes that we want to see with our bodies and our health are the 635 wavelength, the 670, 810 nanometer wavelength, and 850 nanometer wavelength. Those are all going to affect the mitochondria, the cytochrome C oxidase, and affect those powerful long-term changes and affect that downstream pathways. And that's what you get with Red Vive devices. The highest efficacy, the best wavelengths, concentrated to help your health.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98. Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept! Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. Broadcasting from the state of Arkansas on LFA TV, as well as the Paul Harrell Program YouTube. We are also bringing the news. If you just missed it at the beginning of the show, we were able to get the Henry McMaster press conference where he appointed Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham, as the next senator for South Carolina that will finish his term that ends in January 2027, so not that long. How do you feel about that, honestly? How do you feel about that? Everybody says this is what Lindsey would have wanted. I'm curious what the chat thinks. Is this kind of... Did it make you, when you first heard that this was going to happen, kind of like, well, what are we, living in a bloodline monarchy? That was my... I mean, I'm hyper-skeptical. That was my first take. Then everybody says, it's just the nice thing to do. I'm sure it is the nice thing to do, nice gesture. Is it best for the people of South Carolina? She certainly will likely maintain, like, however he was going to vote on things, she's certainly just going to vote the status quo until January, right?
Yeah, so he was the chair of, remind me which committee in the Senate, was it the No,
it wasn't. Was it budget?
Or it might have been budget.
Yeah, he was budget, actually, I think.
So, of course, Thune will put somebody on that and chair that, probably somebody more that aligns with the Mitch McConnells of the world, rather than, I don't expect to see Rick Scott chairing that committee. I don't even know if he's on it, but, regardless, we'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, she's likely to just be a rubber stamp on it. One thing that I'll say, because I was listening to it as I was coming in, did you guys not think, like, if you were to close your eyes and say, this is how I would imagine the governor of South Carolina
my goodness,
would talk, and calling a senator irresistible. He's irresistible, irreplaceable, and incredible. Like he dreamed about that. He thought that was going to hit.
Yep.
And then the sister had to get up there and sort of address the elephant in the room. Like, I've never heard my brother referred to as irresistible.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, it's because you didn't see him on Saturday nights.
I know Lindsey had a Southern accent. I get that. But to your point, can we get a senator from the great state of South Carolina that talks like Governor Henry McMaster?
Listen, I can tell you this, Paul. I would imagine Mr. McMasters lives on a plantation.
Oh, yes, sir.
And might have himself some darker-skinned workers.
Well, I do declare. He certainly sounds like he could open up a chicken restaurant, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 100%. It kind of looks like Colonel Sanders, too.
Well, was it in...
I know that's Kentucky for all of you out there.
So in the state of Georgia, so we've talked about this, I can't remember, but there's two very distinct accents in the state of Georgia, right? There's that real thick, Georgian accent, I mean, it's real thick and just prominent there.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Savannah. Yep, we've got us some folks of color that work down here. They say it a little different, but I ain't gonna say it because I'm already in hot water with the abortion video that we posted.
Wow, by the way, yeah. You know what? I quit.
I'm waiting to get doxxed.
By the way, yeah, you very well could. I knew there were liberal women that still wanted to murder their babies. I get that, but I just had no idea how out in force they are.
They're crazy, man. And we saw it full force.
It's crazy. That video went viral, for us anyway. It's still going on. I had people.
What was it? Was it 91,000
I don't
views? Something like that. Yeah, it was like 91,000 views, and it was just.
It's gone crazy, and it's just so many people triggered with you just saying, "Hey, don't kill your children." You know, give them up for adoption.
Give them a chance.
I mean, it's like,
yeah,
it's crazy to me.
Well, and my whole argument was, you know, the argument for abortion by saying I can't give my child up for adoption because it would be too painful to give my child away knowing that they were still in the world and that I gave them up. And I'm like, do you hear yourself?
Abandonment is better than being a murderer.
Do you know how many people have done great things coming out of foster care? I'm hoping that all 3 of my children do great things coming out of foster care. Right? Now, we've given them permanents, as we've talked about here, and it was so funny, people talking about, like, oh, yeah? Well, how many kids have you adopted? Right? And Paul, you jumped in and defended me quickly, and you're like, well, actually, all 3 of Rob's children are adopted, so
she didn't see that coming.
Pretty much able to speak on this.
But it wouldn't make a difference.
He's like, yeah, but he's a man.
Yeah, it wouldn't make a difference. I mean, it does certainly give your argument more credibility, but it's not like if you hadn't adopted kids, it meant that you would be wrong.
No,
in this instance.
There they go, and you're just like, wait a minute, and they're like, well, you're a man, you can't have an opinion on this because you're a man. And you're just like, do you believe the commercials and the Vlasic pickles that a stork delivers a baby? Do you think that that's how a baby gets in the girl's belly? Do you think that's how it happens? Okay. Nothing is flown into the womb by a pelican, okay? That doesn't happen. It takes a man and a woman.
I think it's a stork.
Whatever. What's the difference between a stork and a pelican?
I don't know.
That's for a different show.
That's for a
But
different
I'll say
show.
this. I'll say this. I saw some vile hearts, and I finally just posted, I'm like, for all of you just saying that it's okay, that it's much better to just kill your baby rather to spare them we're going to spare them foster care. We're going to spare them a difficult life. Well, guess what? Life is difficult. Is it more difficult for some than it is others? Absolutely. Okay? But you can't choose the cards that you're dealt.
Yeah.
All right? And so life is going to be difficult. But guess what? You can do some amazing things. And the best teacher, the best motivator is oftentimes of turmoil. And you're saying, because my child might have turmoil, I'm going to spare them by just not giving them a chance. I'm just going to kill them. I'm going to murder my baby because it's more convenient for me.
And that's the truth.
All of it is just a churched up way to say, I'm killing this baby inside of me because it is more convenient for my life. Okay? Someone would say, you'd feel different if your daughter was raped and she was going to have this child and all of that stuff. Maybe I would feel differently. But I can tell you that is 1% or less of all abortions. I'm going to give the Ben Shapiro a response to it. I'm willing to have a discussion about those. If you will agree that the other 99% of them that are for convenience are evil. Okay? That they are wrong. If you will say that the other 99% of those abortions are wrong, then I'm willing to have a conversation about these that for rape, incest, life of the mother. And there's a lot of doctors that say life of the mother is not really a reason for abortion. You just go through the process. It's not like you're just aborting this child to save the mother. But I don't want to get down that rabbit hole. They say it's as much as little as 1.3% that of all abortions are for rape, incest, life of the mother. So those other 98.7% of abortions, if those are wrong in your eyes, then I'm willing to have a conversation about what should happen with these 1.3%. But
they don't even want to. They don't grant you that. They don't grant you that at all.
I'm sorry if I keep bringing up abortion stuff because it's just something that is really important to my life because all 3 of our children, as I've said before, their birth mothers could have made different decisions and they didn't, and I thank God every day that they didn't. And there are so many people that are looking for children, and it's just you just see the vile hearts of all these people who just and ultimately the lengths of what they're willing to say, the vile things that they're willing to say. They want to call it a fetus. They want to, which just means small baby, but they want to call it a fetus. They want to call it a clump of cells. We're all a clump of cells, but they're just trying to use this dehumanizing language because all of it is a justification for murder. Mm-hmm. I understand. Well, let me just say this. I understand what their ultimate motivation is, what their ultimate point of view is. It is that I don't want you to tell me what to do with my body. This is my body. There may be a human being growing inside of it, but I don't want you to tell me what to do with it. Obviously, that will never physically happen. I am a male, biological male. That will never happen. But that's what their ultimate goal is to say, I don't want you to tell me what I can do or can't do with my body.
I don't want you to tell me no.
Yes. However, can you tell me what to do with my hands, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. You can certainly tell me what not to do with my hands, and that is strangle you.
Right.
Because if I do that, I am affecting you. This is my body, but I am affecting you. I could potentially end your life with my body. That is all us pro-lifers are saying. We're not talking about your body, lady. We're talking about the body of the person inside of you. And your actions are going to affect that baby, either positively by going through with the birth, hopefully, because we all know that there are potential complications, but negatively by saying, this baby is an inconvenience, this is my body, I'm going to do away with this baby. I'm so sick and tired of the pro-choice people. It's not pro-choice. It's pro-you. That's what it is. It is pro-you. And you are trying to not alienate the baby that is inside of you. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to keep talking about all this stuff, and I'm going to quit doing that. I know we just got picked up by Rumble. We're catching a lot of folks on Rumble mainstreaming here, so we're going to get back on topic of the day. But guys, if you'll ever go to Paul Harrell's Facebook page, and any time like that we're getting trashed in the comments and stuff, if you could go and just like the video so that we're not getting so badly ratioed.
Yeah, we got. a lot of people upset with that. But you know what I said eventually, just like, well, thanks for the engagement, libs. That's kind of where I left
we
it.
Appreciate you.
I responded to the person that was trying to make you out to be a hypocrite, and we have a few other folks from Arkansas that have chimed in and talked about how insane it is, all these liberal women that are wanting to murder their kids. It really comes down to this. What I have found in reflecting on this is that it to me just seems a lot like just premeditated murder. I know. Some people may disagree with that. Hang on, let me put you in here, Rob, because Eric left. Eric had to bounce for the day to go to vacation, to help out with Vacation Bible School. So we hope that is a successful ministry for him. But this dropped earlier this year. To your point, I know we can get back on topic if you're just joining us. Darlene Graham, appointed senator. We talked about that all last hour. Christina Applegate reveals she got an abortion at 19 while in an abusive relationship in new memoir. In this, though, because this is going to be the mainstream media, she literally writes a letter to her baby. And if you ever get a chance to go read it, you're going to be just kind of blown away by how this was premeditated murder, in my opinion. And I think we get lost in this narrative. I'm not saying that a woman can't ever be lied to and led down a path by an abortion doctor and not really understanding what she's doing. It's like that other thing. It's like the exceptions. It happens way less than you think. I'm sure it can happen, but for the most part, this is planned and premeditated in so many instances. So to your point, Rob, keep speaking out about it because it's got to happen. It needs to happen.
I think it's on all of us, whether it's this, because I'm obviously I'm passionate about pro-life issues, but it's either with that and transgender issues. The transgender is one of the biggest evils that we are facing right now as a society. I think that what is happening to our children and what we are allowing to happen to our children in the transgender community is unforgivable. There's going to be a reckoning for that one day, whether they believe in God or not. But it just blows my mind the number of Christians who believe in transgenderism. They believe that God made a mistake, that God gave them a child, and that child was supposed to be a girl when he was really a boy. They believe that God made a mistake, but then they're going to go to church on Sunday. They're going to raise their hand to the Lord. They're going to read their Bible, or most likely not.
Likely not.
Yeah.
Maybe a rainbow flag in the church.
Yeah, but they're going to do all of that stuff, and they're going to say prayers at the altar of Saint Trans. That's where they're going, because they're not going to say prayers at the altar of God. They're not going to ask for forgiveness because they don't think they've done anything wrong. So for me, abortion, I mean, Charlie Kirk was right. Abortions killed more people than the Holocaust. And so when you talk about levels of evil, that's a conversation a person could have. But then the transgenderism. So my whole point of it is trying to say this, whether you agree or disagree with me. There are so many things and opportunities for individuals to be passionate. If you are passionate about something, speak out. Don't be fearful. Don't be sheep behind the scenes just saying, hey, I don't want to ruffle any feathers here. And I used to do that as a business owner because, hey, if I post my opinions on things, it might cost me business. It might cost me ability to, support my family. I'm not trying to say like, hey, just burn everything down here. But if you are passionate about something, I think where we've gotten, especially as conservatives, we've gotten run over in certain numbers of years, but certainly prior to Trump. We just got ran over and told that go sit in the corner. What you are speaking, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear your side. And that's what was happening to conservatives. We were getting pushed aside, and so much so that in Trump 1.0, if you supported Trump, you kept it quiet. Mm-hmm. You didn't say it. A lot of people did, but some people, I don't want to get canceled. I don't want to get fired from my job. Can you imagine? People were getting fired from their jobs for voting for Donald Trump. And they were trying to say that is as bad as getting fired from your job for celebrating online the death of Charlie Kirk. Those two things are not equal. You are a vile, evil human being if you celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. But voting for Donald Trump didn't make you a racist. It didn't make you a vile person. And so many times that we've caught ourselves as conservatives just saying, well, I don't want to lose friends.
Yeah.
I don't want to get canceled. I don't want to get fired from my job. I don't want my business to suffer. I don't want to do all of this stuff. And I'm not saying that you're going to be able to constantly change someone by posting your opinion online. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'll add to that. I mean, because I talked about this with some of my some friends who are older, and it is kind of crazy to me to think about how the left doesn't feel, and they haven't felt shame. They are so convinced that they are correct, and they feel no shame at all about espousing so much of the things that they think are true that are not. They are very much more militant online than the right is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I post about stuff, but I think your average conservative voter doesn't really go to Facebook, especially in the boomer sphere. They don't really, because I know a lot of boomers. They don't really go online. And when Joe Biden was president, there just wasn't a whole lot of people being like, "Can you believe Joe Biden let trannies on the White House lawn and da da da?" They didn't do that. But their leftist counterparts, their leftist, other boomers, they post in Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0. They post all the time about how evil Trump is, or he's a dictator, and everything else. And I'm now figuring out that some of these people are secretly getting blocked by their own friends, because they're conservative and they don't want to hear it. I just find it odd there are so many people on the right that do stay quiet. And I think it's not because they're afraid. Some of them are afraid to lose business. Other people, it's just like, hey, the outlook of my day is not dependent on who's president of the United States.
Well, sure.
You're like, I've got my family. I love God. I worship God. And so I don't feel the need to just have my entire existence legitimized by who's in the White House or not. Yeah. I was upset when Joe Biden was in the White House, but I didn't have to go to therapy. I mean, when the other side has to go to therapy because Donald Trump gets elected, we are two completely different people, two completely different countries. Last thing I'll say about the abortion thing is this. Have you ever stopped and thought about what would happen if abortion was banned? Somebody said this, that it would have so many other ripple effects that we can't even really comprehend in terms of marriage rates. Because you could definitely say 100% if abortion was illegal today, and if you committed it was equal protection in the same vein as like murdering somebody, there would be a lot less premarital sex, wouldn't there? Just think about it. Don't you think there'd be a lot less premarital sex?
I would certainly hope that birth control was more prominent.
Yeah, or there'd be more birth control, but
fewer STDs, I would say.
Yeah. You would have, but then when you did get pregnant, you would be, and I'll just say this because I don't care, you would be consigned to your biological role as a mom, at least for that 9 months. What would that do to the HR departments? A lot of people don't understand that the reason you have a human resource department at your big corporate job is because women entered the workforce. You didn't have that stuff back then. So it would go so long. It would go in a huge way to fix so many and even reverse so many of the problems that we have today if it were illegal.
I don't want to derail this, but we're going to keep talking about Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell stuff or whatever, which has been talked about this. But I will say this, Paul. Let's, if you will, give me just a couple of minutes and let's go through this. When we want to sit and say the difference between conservatives and liberals, okay? Now, this is because we need to continue to draw these clear lines here, because what has happened is that those lines start to get blurry. They get blurry, and then we cross that blurry line, and then now that's now the new line. And we've all seen that graph of a person who just has their beliefs and is unchanged, and how the line keeps moving of whether they're a liberal, and in this year they're now.
Oh, you mean like when you're live talking about watching a debate, right?
Yeah, and it just keeps going. No.
Oh, you're not.
I'm talking about it's a graph of a person who has these beliefs.
Okay.
And in 1995, this person was a Democrat.
I got you.
Right, and then and it kept moving.
Right.
Okay. But for that to be the case, the Republicans and the conservatives have had to move with. And that's where we've gone, where we've watered stuff down and said, if all of us were Brandon Gills coming up and saying, no, this is ridiculous, we're not doing this, but that's not what's happening. We've got the John Thunes of the world that are playing the middle road. And that's just not where we should be.
Holding on to their power with
every
breath that they have.
Yeah.
Keeping the younger generation from being able to participate at all.
Because conservatives believe that there are two genders. And this artificial distinction that you're trying to place between sex and gender is absolutely made up. Cis does not exist. Okay? You know what? If that's on a T-shirt, it needs to be patented to Rob and Paul.
We got to make them. Cis does not exist.
There we go.
That's the new picket line. That's the picket line of the future.
People over here believe that there's umpteen numbers of genders, and that you've got the LGBTQI plus hyphen
RSTLNE. Would you like to buy a vowel?
There you go. You got all these people over here on the left, and they believe that a guy can wake up and be a girl. And that if by noon he doesn't really feel like a girl, he doesn't really feel like a guy, he just says, you know what, I'm non-binary now. And that on that side, the people that we're dealing with, they say that's sane. We over here say there are two genders, there are two sexes. This is the way God made us. Even if you're on the right and you don't believe in God, you know that there's a biological difference between men and women. When you think about, I had this conversation with my son, you know, when you have the talk, the sex ed talk or whatever, and we're having to talk about the physical differences between men and women. Have you ever thought, I'm sure we all have, we are specifically designed sexually, here I'm not trying to get us banned here, but to procreate. We have something that allows us to be able to procreate. Okay, I don't have to get specific. We all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's the possibility of new life.
Okay,
to be created,
which means that I can go to the bathroom and I can pee standing up. And we got a line of urinals in the bathrooms. Okay, we can pee standing up. Line of urinals doesn't do a whole lot for females. We all understand that. In an emergency, I guess it could. But the bottom line is that it tells us from a very early age whether we are men or women. Okay? We are boys or girls. The left over here says you can throw all of that out. I can have a beard. I can have pee standing up. And I can say I'm a woman. Okay. So there's that. Then we've got the abortion issues. I'm not going to rehash all of that, but most conservatives, now there are some pro-choice Republicans, but I would say that most conservatives are pro-life. We believe that, you know, what is the end of your life, Paul? When the doctors finally declare that your life has ended, what is the necessary thing that has had to happen? Okay, for you physically.
My heart stopped.
Your heart has stopped beating. Can your brain stop working and you still be alive?
Yes.
Yes, correct. We can be brain dead.
Yeah, the life is in the blood. That's the Bible even says that.
Right, and there are machines to keep our heart going. Okay, so we can have all of that. But if on our own, if our heart stops beating for a sustained amount of time,
the blood dies.
Correct. The blood dies. We are dead. That is the end of our life. So does it not stand to reason that your life begins when your heart starts beating? Now, some would argue that it's the moment of conception.
That would be me.
But then also, too, someone would say, well, hey, if there's a fertilization process that has happened, the morning after pill, I could go down that road. But for me, it's always been the easiest to draw the line that I am dead when my heart stops beating. I have to be alive when it started. At the very least, you can say it started before, but at the very least, I was alive when my heart started beating. And you could say, well, I had to grow, all of that stuff. Well, a 1-year-old still has to grow, okay? And a 1-year-old can't live on their own. And that's a lot of the times where their arguments fall. Over here, so, you know, there's varying levels of pro-choice. Yep. They want to draw these artificial distinctions between trimesters and all of that stuff. Yep. And then some will say all the way up to the moment of birth. And
well, I'll just say, I mean, when we start going down that path, this is why I arrive at the conception. You know, I believe life begins at conception, because if it's not life begins at conception, then everything else is just us as men trying to draw lines in the sand.
Sure.
And you could also say that if you found a fertilized egg somewhere on another planet, the headline would be life found on another planet.
Okay.
Even if you found the gametes, if you just found an unfertilized egg, if you found a sperm cell, life.
Yeah.
You know, we found it. Like, that's what they would say.
But you think about an abortionist doctor, what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to get that baby out of you, but that baby's got to come out of there one way or the other, okay? They're going to try to stop that beating heart. They got to end that beating heart that is inside of you, you know? So that one's always made sense to me. The levels before that, maybe it's conception, all of that stuff. We can have conversations about that, Paul, but what we believe, certainly every pro-lifer believes from the moment that heart starts beating, which is, 7 weeks coffee there. That's why they based it on it, that it's as early as 6 to 7 weeks. And over here, hey, we're going to ignore that video of a father speaking with, I believe, was the Spanish dialect there. I think he was speaking Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, so I think it's what it was. It was just a phenomenal video. And there's a picture of the ultrasound in the background, and the father is speaking to the mother. but he was really speaking to the baby inside the mother's belly. Have you ever seen that? There's a video, and the baby, when he hears father, he's like, hello, little girl. He's saying all that, and the baby on the ultrasound starts smiling at 32 weeks.
That was put in our viral video. Somebody posted that or referenced that.
I think I did to somebody. I'm like, you're telling me that up to the moment of birth, but this 32-week-old baby smiling at his father's voice.
And they said fetuses don't smile, Rob.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I saw it on video there. Yeah, and so you can just shove it there because that video came out before the prominence of AI. I mean, it came out in 2024, although AI existed. Anyway, man, I'm going on all these rants, but then we've got these people over here on the left that just simply do not value life. We got people over here on the right. The government will never solve my problems. We got the people on the left. The government is the solving of the problems. We need to take money from the rich people to give it to the government so that they can solve our problems. When the hell does that ever happen where it works out the way that they have planned for it to work out? To me, Mom Donnie, these Democrat socialists, like, we want to laugh at them. We want to scoff at them on the right. And we want to say, oh, they're not a threat. We want to say that this is nothing to be worried about. But we are naive if we're not saying that these individuals are going to continue to rise, because you have people in this world that says, I don't have something because you have it.
Yep.
Although
covetousness.
If you were to give it up, I still wouldn't have it. They don't realize that. But they're saying, I don't have something, and it's because you have it, and therefore I want it, so therefore the government should take it from you.
Yeah.
I will never, ever get behind a mentality that says that is the proper course of action.
I agree, and you kind of reminded me of something. I called that coveting. Essentially, it's like we're going to make the sin of coveting a matter of public policy. But isn't that also what's going on with the whole trans thing? You're coveting being another gender than what you were born with?
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thread.
It's the church of you.
You could pull, which is essentially do what you want, worship yourself, don't worship God.
Well, I mean, you got the people, you want the government to freeze the rent. You want the government to freeze the rent because you can't afford your rent. But yet you are sitting there, many times they're saying, I can't afford my rent, and they just went and spent $8 for their coffee at Starbucks, okay? And they have a part-time job because they're going to school. My best friend in the world is an attorney who went to law school at night while working a full-time job as a police officer. The dude purposefully took third shift because there just wasn't a whole heck of a lot going on, and he would be able to sit and study, and he worked full-time while going to law school. Tell me another person who has done that, and he's a phenomenal attorney. And so the reason is because he also had a wife and kid. He had to do what he had to do. And what they say is, instead of doing what I have to do, and that's the conservative mentality. I don't have money. I don't have the ability to do this. I got to do what I got to do, right? I've got resources. I've got to figure out all this stuff. But what do the people on the left want? The government has got to fix this for me. The government has got to freeze the rent. The government has got to give me this money. Okay? The government is not the solving of any of these problems, Paul. None of it. And that's what the left believes. And so they, in my opinion, can never be in charge of the government again. Because if you think the government needs more money to solve all the problems, you don't need to be in charge of it.
Yeah. And that brings us to universal basic income, which is some people say is inevitable, especially with the rise of AI. So we're gonna be engaging in that battle in the next 10 years, 100%.
Can you tell some of these things have been stewing for a while?
Oh yeah, it's good, but it is therapy. I get
it's therapy. This show is therapy.
Shows like this are therapy, 100%. Mitch McConnell, though, I've got a few stories we want to cover.
I love it because our chat, a lot of our chats talking about fishing, you know.
Yeah, they're like,
Rob's on another rant, you know.
So does anyone actually believe that Mitch McConnell actually wrote this statement to my fellow Kentuckians? When you elected me to my 7th term and made me a Commonwealth's longest-serving senator, you did so trusting that I would keep showing up to fight with you every day. And over the past several weeks, Elaine and I have appreciated both your well wishes and your honest questions about what was keeping me away from the Senate. You all know how folks my generation often hesitate to share the vulnerability that comes with growing older. Even in the public eye, I feel the same instinct. I can't help it. But at the same time, I've had more than my share of experience with physical vulnerabilities. Surviving childhood polio meant spending my entire life. Does anyone actually believe that he was penning this?
Nope. No, he didn't write that.
So the campaign, or his office, then releases this statement. This is Elaine Chao. You know, she's got to be in the photo. This is all such bullcrap. She's got to be in the photo because they know they're not acknowledging that she was in China or fled to China or fled to the vice president of China 3 days after. There's two different narratives. He has the heart attack or cardiac event. She goes to China. Then there's the other narrative, which is she was already in China at university, doesn't rush home to her husband's side, instead goes and meets with the vice president of China. I don't know which is which, but I'm just letting you know those are the two different competing narratives out there. So they got to throw.
She looks like a Chinese spy.
You got to throw her in there.
Yeah.
Because, this is just my supportive wife, Elaine Chao. It's just her. Anyway, this is, people are trying to say this is AI. They've put it through everything, a campaign. He's holding a newspaper, though. And that's what's interesting because I even tweeted weeks ago, I said, I won't believe this guy's alive.
I need a proof of life.
I said, unless he's holding a newspaper. And I said, go ahead and throw a notary in there. I want to see somebody notarizing something. I want somebody going on record.
Reminds me of the Dave Chappelle thing where he was
yeah.
Where it was
what would it take to prove you that that Puff Daddy did it?
Or and his grandma it was
Kelly.
R. Kelly. Yeah. R. Kelly was that he was a child rapist, you know.
See? That there's digital.
Yeah. He's like, I didn't even piss right now. You know, and he shoots a stream of your Chappelle Show was the greatest sketch comedy for those 3 years.
Yeah, it was.
Ever.
But I honestly, obviously I don't believe it all. I don't believe it for a second.
Yeah, and our chat's talking about this too. Like there's no way that he called it Kentuckian. Like and I've never heard that.
My fellow Kentuckians.
I've never heard that expression before that was written.
The great,
have you heard it?
I, the great turtle of the Senate, I come to you now at the turn of the tide.
Turtle.
I will make a miraculous recovery, and I will return to the Senate.
Is that what they call,
Kentuckians? I think so, yeah. I mean, they're not going to call them Kentuckyites. Kentuckians, I guess that's what you say.
So they call us Arkies. And that's a derogatory thing to call us.
Yeah.
By the way.
Oh, is it really?
So yeah, that's fighting words. Okay. If you call me an Arkie, I don't like it.
Yeah, but a lot of people just can't get their head wrapped around. You pronounce it Arkansas, but then when you say it, it's Arkansan.
Well, a lot of these come from the sports world, like Tennessee. They call them Tanner.
Oh, they love Arkie. Yeah,
like, oh, Tanner. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you Arkie fans are just da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, it is an SEC thing, too. We also, I know even Arkansas State gets called Arkie State, too, as a derogatory term.
It says the newspaper. So Carl Ben Jay is saying that the newspaper date that in Mitch McConnell's hand was 1986. I don't know if that's true.
I didn't see that. They claim to found the newspaper that it was yesterday's Washington Post.
So they're saying that's what it is.
Sports section.
Yeah. I don't believe it.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe it either. Hey, though, before we go any further, I've got a couple of things because we're going to run out of time here. And
my head hurts from my rant.
So what time is it? Is it? We've got that clock is wrong.
We got like
I got to reset
minutes.
that clock.
We got like 6 minutes.
All right. So a couple of things then before I do. I want to first say this to Megan Basham. This is just to praise the Lord. So
Megan's a great follow. By the way.
Yeah, she's a good follow. She wrote this book that I'm pretty passionate about called Shepherds for Sale. You need to read it, especially if you want to learn about how Marxism has infested the evangelical church. It's really, really good. And how there's just left-wing presuppositions that have been adopted as fact by so many people they have no idea what they're actually advocating for, or maybe many of them do, which raises a whole other question. The idea of shepherds being for sale, your pastor being for sale. Really good book. But she got diagnosed with cancer a while back. I've been following this, and so she got a good report. She says, friends, it took some time, and there were a couple of holdups, but I got my test results. Negative. No microscopic cancer DNA found in my blood, and that includes testing to match the DNA in my lung lesion. Doesn't guarantee I won't have another battle with cancer in the future, but in terms of the likelihood, it's very good news, and I'm in tears of gratitude by myself while my family is at the movie. Feeling overwhelmed all of a sudden, and I'm going to try to take some time off from this site for a while to enjoy the goodness of God. Thank you for your prayers. Grateful to know that while X may not be real life, the friends I've made on here are absolutely real friends. And she quotes Psalm 116, 1-2. I love the Lord, for he heard my voice. He heard my cry for mercy because he turned his ear to me. I will call on him as long as I live. So I just wanted to say,
amen.
Praise the Lord, Megan Basham. We celebrate this with you.
Yeah.
On that, I want to, while I have the time left, a personal friend of mine by the name of Ben Ratliff. His daughter Maggie has had a really tough go at it the last year with a bone marrow problem, and she had to have a bone marrow transplant. And she's a really sweet girl, as you can see from the photo there. And he has posted an update, and he's asking for prayer. And as soon as I saw this, I knew I was going to bring it to the LFA audience's attention because I know you guys out there are prayer warriors. So Ben Ratliff he's a pastor in Cleveland, Mississippi, and he says Maggie's bone marrow biopsy came back showing very low production of cells. This is very concerning, especially because they don't yet understand the cause. She continues to have high fevers. We are very concerned for Maggie and cover your prayers for healing. We do not know what her body is doing or fighting, but we know our God who can correct and heal. Psalm 34, 17-18, when the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Yeah. So if you could please pray for Maggie, if she comes to mind, please just keep her in your prayers and keep the entire Ratliff family in your prayers as they go through this time. I've known about this. My church has been praying for it for a long time. And others have as well, but I don't know if this is a bigger audience, and so
sure.
Please, I know for a fact when you guys prayed for my Uncle Dave, he made a miraculous recovery and has an incredible story that we're going to share with you on this program at some point in the future. But if you can do that, please, I would very much appreciate it, and I know Ben would too.
Look at that,
yeah.
cheesing photo of her,
Yeah,
and God, please heal her.
Yes, amen to that. Let me see here. One of the stories that we will probably cover tomorrow that we didn't get a chance to cover today in depth is this headline from the Gateway Pundit. Paulina Luna is now demanding the ouster of the National Security Council Intel Chief Adam Jones for allegedly shutting down offices supporting election integrity investigation. And he says that this guy that remains in this intelligence position was loyal to Obama and loyal to, I think, traitor James Clapper. Now, she's specifically saying he is shutting down the office supporting election integrity. Now, the reason that I think this is relevant, Rob, is we have some more clarity over hang on one second, let me find it. We have some more clarity over what this address to the nation is Thursday that's developed since we started the show 2 hours ago. A guy named Jake Taylor is claiming that Trump's Thursday speech, scheduled to take place at 9 o'clock Eastern, is slated to address newly declassified intelligence reports that the White House asserts reveals plans by foreign nations to interfere in the 2020 election, according to two White House officials granted anonymity to discuss internal plans. So, this very well may be what we have been saying on this program for a while now may happen. They won't pass the SAVE Act. Does Trump use the intel report on election theft that Tulsi Gabbard prepared?
Yeah.
That's been around since June of last year. Does he use this to do some sort of executive action to
declare a
federalize
national emergency, which will be blocked by a federal judge, but would hopefully be overturned.
By the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Now that the intel is out, and now Bill Pulte, who both Republicans and Democrats hate as the acting DNI, is he now doing what Tulsi Gabbard started? That could be the biggest news of this week as we move into the weekend. Just something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, and so look at the Mark Volker there, the first comment.
We can tell from the panic left he's posting here that they know the end is near for them.
And what you're going to continue to see over the next few days is just a mass sort of nothing to see here, folks. and there's going to be a distraction campaign and push away. So,
Rob Spencer, I appreciate it, sir.
Glad to be here. Sorry for my long rant.
No, dude, it was awesome. I love it. Folks, want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 24/7, and Sherrod Chiropractic. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless.